I am going to share with you the most delicious chicken curry recipe that I am naming the Rockadoodle chicken curry. What's really cool about this recipe is I'm using it with a slow cooker, and that slow cooker happens to use just a hot rock in order to slowly cook it, which essentially means that you can heat this rock over an open fire when you're camping and have a slow cooker. A lot of the ingredients I'm going to be using from my homestead and garden, so before we get into it, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel for more health and homesteading content. Let's get started.
See?
Yeah, I do, sweetie. You're also going to get some real-time interaction with my daughter and I in the kitchen because I've decided that it's just the most realistic way of getting you content. So the way that my day actually started was by getting the chicken for our chicken curry. I won't be sharing that butchering process here, but in another video. For now, all I can say is that we had a rooster that we needed to get rid of, and so it was the perfect opportunity to go ahead and get that meat, which actually we were surprised we had quite a bit. And to get that meat started, we basically just browned it on either side in a cast iron skillet. The next step was to gather the rest of my ingredients. The first was the Tulsi basil. I'll make sure to have the exact recipe listed below. But this was really cool as I was preparing everything because it made me think of the Tulsi I grew, and the scent and fragrance of it all was just really reminiscent of all of the garden memories that I had had. This Tulsi basil specifically I grew almost 2 years ago, so it felt really good to be able to use it from my garden. In general, your herbs can last dried for some years. They're, of course, going to lose some potency over time, but this basil was extremely fragrant and smelled delicious. I like to take the lazy approach as often as possible. I hadn't removed the stems from this basil, so that was a lot of this process as I was piecing everything apart, was pulling off the leaves and then using the mortar and pestle to really make it into a fine grind and easier to use in the curry. You may notice throughout this process that my 3-month-old is getting kind of tired, kind of fussy, and so I've had to shush her to sleep and bounce her a little bit as I'm cooking, but this is my real life, and it's actually really enjoyable to be able to do all of these things while having her close to me. I thoroughly believe that this is how she'll become interested in the kitchen one day as well. Once I had enough dried basil smashed for 2 tablespoons, I added it to my pot that already had 2 cans of organic coconut milk inside. I added 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm a big fan of Redmond real salt because it is mineral rich and hasn't been stripped of those minerals. I'm also a really big fan of their seasonings and their peppers. Here I'm using 3/4 teaspoon of their lemon pepper. As always, I will make sure to link everything that I use below. Next up is a 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. My kids and I don't tolerate super spicy foods, so instead of the chili powder, I substituted paprika. I mixed all of this together and then was on to chopping the onions. This recipe calls for just 1 red onion. I did not grow this onion. I have grown onions in the past, but as I was cutting this onion, I was basically taking steps away because it was so potent and making me cry. I didn't want it to hurt my baby's eyes. But it did make me think about how much I want to grow onions again in the fall. The key to onions is growing them at the right time. And this past fall, I was super pregnant and just didn't have it within me. I basically gave up on the garden. But the year prior, I grew onions and it was a great success. I love this kind of meal because you can just throw everything in the pot and let it go.
Guess what the dirtiest on my hands from is?
What, baby?
The one pooped on me. We can make ants on a log.
Ants on a log.
With dried cherries instead.
This recipe called for 8 garlic cloves, which I was really pumped to be able to use my own. We had a tremendous garlic harvest this past year, and garlic stores really well.
Or we could make snakes on a log with all the ingredients is celery and carrot and baby carrots or big carrots. What could I make? Could I make snakes on a log? It's the only 2 ingredients.
Next up was taking the chicken I had browned earlier and putting it in the pot with everything else. Snakes on a log.
Can I do it?
Do we have the ingredients?
All it is, it's my own recipe. All it needs is carrots and celery. That's the only ingredients. And I can cut on the table, right?
Well, why don't you think about all the things that we're getting ready to do, because right now we're getting ready to bring this down to the fire.
And I'm going to bring the snacks down to the fire too.
Which snacks?
The snake on a log. And that's it.
Where are you going to prepare all this? So it was at this point that I was planning on heating up the rock to go into my slow cooker outside in our beautiful fireplace. I was really excited about this. I packed everything up and I was really happy how easy it was to move everything outside. It was a really gorgeous day. It's the beginning of spring, and so we have our fire pit right next to our vegetable garden, and I was just eager to get out there and start a fire. It was super windy, but we brought everything out and got everything ready. I was really delighted with how easy it was to transport the rock pot slow cooker outside, so I was able to kind of unpack everything. We were going to get the fire going. We were noticing how windy it was though, so my husband made the safety call to not start the fire for risk of spreading any fire. And I was really bummed, but at the same time, I realized how versatile the rock pot was, because I could also use the slow cooker in my kitchen. So now I get to show you how to do both. So the first thing you should know is that if you were to heat the stone or the rock in the fireplace, you could get a high heat setting of 500 to 700 degrees. If you bring the rock to temperature on the stovetop, it's going to be on a low setting. So for this recipe, you could either cook on high 4 to 5 hours or low 6 to 8 hours. When heating the rock tablet on the stove, you want to put it on high for 30 minutes, and then you'll use this handy dandy little hook to place the rock tablet at the very base of your cooker. And at that point, you will then move your pot with all of your ingredients into the cooker and put the glass lid on, and then close the slow cooker and set your timer. I just really enjoyed using this Rockpot slow cooker, you guys. I was so bummed that I couldn't take it outside, but in the end, it was just a versatile experience for me to see all the different ways that I could use it, and how easy it was to actually just move it. It was pretty lightweight, even with the chicken soup inside. Okay, I'm excited to see how this looks. Ooh, our dish here. Wow. So the next step after it had cooked on what would be considered low for 6 hours was to take out the chicken and then shred it, and then we'll add a few more ingredients. Since I was originally planning on heating up the rock tablet over the fire and planning on cooking this for 4 to 5 hours, not 6 to 8, I was kind of rushing to shred the chicken while it was hot, but if you have the time, you can certainly let it cool before doing this part. Also, we had a lot of dark meat. The next step was to grate some fresh ginger and add 1 teaspoon to the pot. I had also prepared a little bowl of 1 tablespoon cold water and 1 tablespoon cornstarch, which I added to thicken the chicken stew. Next step was to add the shredded chicken. Yes, sweet baby. Yeah, let me just mix this in. Then I was going to add a 1/3 cup of fresh cilantro, which ended up being about 1 bushel from the grocery. Usually I grow this as well, but I hadn't had any ready since it was winter time. Thank you, sweet baby. Now, what can we do to make our dinner special? It sounds special.
Oh, ice cream with 1 little frozen chili.
Great deal.
Where's the...
It's in here cooking.
Anyway,
In this pot.
that's cooking.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like it's on the stove?
What?
It doesn't look like it's on the stove. Can I look inside?
Yeah, you want to bring up your little ladder so you can see? Let me get a spoon. Let me get a good spoon.
That's cooking.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's our chicken. It's the chicken, Kim's curry chicken. Let me just get a spoon.
Can I take the top off?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
Let me get.
that's dinner.
Well, you put it over rice, so hold on 1 sec.
Over the rice?
Yeah.
Not for me over the rice.
Well, that's how it's kind of. I mean, we can put yours in a separate bowl. Would you like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you help me stir it in? I'm gonna stir in some cilantro.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Ready? Piece of chicken. Get just a piece of chicken. And cool it off. I'll taste it first. I could use some salt or pepper.
I don't like pepper.
Okay. I'll cool it off.
Can I go eat tomato?
Yeah.
I just don't do it.
Okay. Okay, here's a bite of chicken. I'm sharing with you all of these little bits and pieces of conversation with my daughter because I do believe that this becomes a part of our lifestyle, is this communication with our kids. You like it? You just don't want it with your rice. You want it separate? Okay. Good. Okay. I'll give you a little bowl. While not necessary, I do highly recommend serving this chicken curry over a bed of rice. I think it would also taste really yummy if you had some pickled onion to put on top or a little dollop of sour cream. At this point in the day, I was really tired and just happy to have a home-cooked meal with my daughter using this really cool rock pot slow cooker. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's been fun for me to film and vlog in this way. I had a blast using the rock pot, and if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel for more health and homesteading content.